Hello and welcome, I'm James Creedon, and this week we're in Nairobi, Kenya for a special edition of Tech24, where we're going to look at all things tech in East Africa. At the crossroads of the region, Nairobi is one of the most important economic hubs in Africa. The population has doubled in the last 15 years to over 8 million, and one of the most important sectors over the past decade is the tech sector. You have new apps, startups, and indeed tech incubators popping up year after year. Now, to get an introduction into the tech sector here in Nairobi and beyond, let's take a look at this report by our East Africa correspondents, Julia Steers and Bastien Renouy.
A quick photo, and a few seconds later, this computer is up for sale online. Tech merchant Ronald is using Sky Garden, a new online commerce app.
It has a 1-year warranty. That is my price. I'll sell it at 70,000. I can say it is like boosting on the sales. And for them being a known brand, it is easier.
Once the order is placed, the computer is packed and sent off on a motorcycle taxi, the main delivery method around Nairobi. Sky Garden was created at iHub, Nairobi's best-known incubator. At their office, about 10 people track orders and shipments. Online commerce has been in Kenya for years, but according to the company's director, it was until now reserved for Nairobi's elite.
So we created a platform that really was adapted to anyone within a stall environment, informal markets, which are the real economic drivers.
Since 2010, iHub has helped launch 200 companies. The primary goal of the incubator is to help entrepreneurs create new tech. In a country where the unemployment rate is high, startups are seen as a unique path to a job. Today, these students are here for a course in entrepreneurship basics.
We are taught about entrepreneurship straight from high school all the way to universities. So when guys reach at that level where they are at a point where they can be able to innovate, everyone is looking for a hub, everyone is looking for a university, everyone wants to pitch an idea, come up with a new solution.
But as the capital runs out of room, developers are focusing on new spaces to attract foreign investors. 70 kilometers from Nairobi, the Kansas City Technopolis was launched in 2008. They've broken ground on the first building in this so-called smart city.
About 4 or 5 buildings will start construction this year. Next year, we'll see more activity. And so in the next 5 years, we expect this city to fully taken off and to start attract its residents.
The government hopes that this $14 billion undertaking will attract 250,000 residents. And by 2030, they say the city will be described as Africa's own Silicon Valley.
So we're now at the iHub that we just saw in that report, and I'm joined by Lillian Butegi, that's pronounced correctly.
Yes.
Now you're a tech staff writer for CIO East Africa magazine.
Yes, I am.
So tell us a little bit about yourself, first of all.
CIO East Africa is more of a monthly publication where we focus on telling IT trends across the East African region.
So what have you seen change over the last 5 years? To what extent is the tech scene becoming more vibrant and more important to the economy and to people's lives?
All right. I would actually say in the last 5 years, we've seen an exponential growth when it comes to adoption of technology. For example, we have issues around traffic.
Yes.
So you find a lot of people coming up with tech-related innovations that help, address issues around traffic in Nairobi and also help us, with the movement around.
It's rainy season in Nairobi, we should say, and the traffic is pretty bad, right?
Yes. It actually took me 3 hours.
Thank you for making the effort. In agriculture, how is tech helping ordinary Kenyans?
One of the great startups that I've worked with before, they're known as the aluminium crane. They come up with greenhouses that are actually fitted with sensors. So just in case there's anything that your greenhouse needs or the water levels are down, the sensors get to communicate directly to the farmers, and you can actually switch on the irrigation pumps.
Systems.
Or systems, yeah. You can be able to switch them just from your mobile phone. I'll give you another example. A team of young people, they've come up with an innovation called Vakava. They're helping farmers from Kisumu transport their fish from Kisumu to Nairobi to actually Rwanda. And what's interesting about the cooler boxes, they're actually fitted with sensors, and they get, again, to communicate between the farmers, and it's quite an interesting technology, I'll say.
Fantastic. You're a woman who's writing about technology. To what extent is this a scene that is inclusive of women, or is it quite male-dominated still? What do you think?
I would say in Kenya, and funny enough, I also run a column at CIA East Africa on women in tech, and this is one challenge that I face every now and then. There are women in tech, but you find that they still I would say that the tech space is still male-dominated.
We want to see more people like Lillian in the tech scene.
But I would say there's so much improvement. But it's something that I would say in the past like 2 years, we're seeing the number of women actually increasing from the tech scene. I mean, like we also have what they call the African Women in Tech chapter, where we have a number of Kenyan women registered under that, and you find that the number is growing day in, day out.
So as somebody who's kind of watching the tech scene as it evolves here in East Africa, are there any innovations that you have found particularly useful or exciting?
You know, sexual matters still remain. Africa is quite conservative when it comes to matters around sexual education and all that. So we have the likes of SOPHIE, where you can actually ask Sophie anything. It's actually like an application where you get actually they get to actually educate a lot of people on sexual related matters.
What's it called? SOPHIE-bot?
SOPHIE-bot, like Sophie, and then B-O-T.
Oh, SOPHIE-bot.
Yes. From STDs to anything that affects you sexually, your sexuality.
Contraception or...
Exactly.
Right.
They've been in the market for, I would say, 4 years now, and they've actually been able to answer over 30,000 related questions on sexual related matters. Yes.
And where was that developed? Do we know?
The person who came up with it is actually a student at the Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology. So we call it here JEPAT, just towards the outskirts of Nairobi.
So Lillian, thank you very much for talking to us, and good luck with everything in the future.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
One thing that has really changed the life of many people in Kenya is with your smartphone. So over the last 10 years, you can make money transfers directly online. Now, you don't even need to have a bank account for this. You simply put money on your mobile phone using a system called M-Pesa. So we're going to try it out right now. Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How much?
I have 200 shillings,
Okay.
and I'd like to put it on my M-Pesa account, please.
I'll deposit.
Please help.
Give me your number. 07
Yes, it's 0708
708
131406.
06. Can you confirm?
There we go. Fantastic. You can see how simple that transaction was, and the simplicity is one of the reasons why it has been adopted by a majority of Kenyans for their day-to-day payments. And as you'll see in this report, Kenya is really one of the world leaders still today in mobile phone payments.
There's a colour in Kenya which everyone recognises, the apple green of M-Pesa. The mobile money transfer system has been making everyday life easier for over a decade and has taken Africa by storm. In 2006, the telecom giants Safaricom and Vodafone trialled an early version of a micro-loan scheme and found that as well as making repayments, users were also using their phones to send and receive money. In a land where millions don't have a bank account, developers saw it as a way to transfer cash quickly, safely and simply. And so M-Pesa, meaning mobile money in Swahili, was born. The pioneering microfinancing system is now used for a myriad of things, from paying your bills or your rent to doing the weekly shop, and all at the touch of a button. 70% of Kenyans are now regular users, with 30 million people in total using it worldwide. The platform has already led to the creation of some 860,000 jobs and generated some 925 million euros worth of business. Researchers at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology have also estimated that 2% of Kenyans have been brought out of poverty thanks to this microfinancing system.
So we're standing here on the old train line from Nairobi to Mombasa on the coast, and all around you have the neighbourhood of Kibera, which is actually a shanty town. It's hundreds of thousands of inhabitants. We don't know exactly how many, but at least 400,000. Pretty much everyone working informally and on low incomes. And the internet and electricity infrastructure is minimal, which is why we've come here for this week's Test 24. So this is M-Kopa. It's a device that was developed by a Kenyan company in 2012, and since then it has really revolutionized the life of hundreds of thousands of people. Some 600,000 homes now have this device, and if you're off the grid, living in the countryside or in a shanty town where you just don't have any electricity in your home, this can resolve that problem for you. And for about 40 euro cents a day, that's 50 Kenyan shillings, you can have power in your home. So we've come to say hello to Peter. Peter, thank you very much for welcoming us into your home.
If I paid from my phone,
Yep.
if the payment goes through,
Yes. Then
I
you have your
noticed.
M-Kopa box here. You just clicked on the button
yeah,
and let there be light, right? And
goes,
so it
like,
goes
goes like this,
out here,
out here,
yeah,
up to the roof.
up to the roof.
Yeah, and this is my panel. It's up here on the roof.
I see. So as you can see, that's very useful for people who are not on the grid. This is really the only means that they might have to charge up a smartphone and to have light in their home. So that brings us to the end of this week's edition of Tech24. Special thanks to our East Africa correspondent Bastien Renouy and Stéphane Bernstein in Paris. Goodbye for now from Nairobi.